Hi, this is Catherine. This is Taking Tea with Catherine. This is Lemon Lavender Lane, which I like. I've had it for a while, and I'm almost finished with it. I just noticed a tiny, tiny chip in my mug, and now I'm going to be obsessed with that because I've had this mug for a very long time. I'm still going to use it. It's not very visible, but that is like the second mug. Um, this is why I can't take out a lot of mugs at once. I want to do that that sort of tag about matching your mugs with your books and everything. That sounds like so much fun, but if I took out a bunch of mugs, I'd end up breaking more of them. And total side point, I'm doing a wrap-up of March 2021. Yes, a month in which I did badly chip at least one mug. And, but I found that I was somewhat successful in completing some of the challenges and read-alongs that I decided to participate in. But one was a bit of not a failure, but, well, I guess if you don't complete it, that is what you would call the failure, but I'm going to keep reading it, so semi-fail. Anyway, so there were three things that I was participating in more than anything. The first one, I think I was participating in most thoroughly, which was March Mystery Madness. I did that last year as well and enjoyed it, so I did it this year as well. I was going to make a couple more videos about the mystery genre, and then I thought, they had so many hosts for that event, and I was not one of them. So I thought, they don't need really any more from me. I'll do TM Mysteries as the months go by. But I did read, since the last, what was it, a wrap-up or whatever I did, I've read more mystery novels, so I'll talk about that. I also I read one book for middle grade March. I had two possibles, but I had one that I really wanted to do, and that one I did read. And I'm very glad about that. And one more book that I finished, I think. And then I'll talk about maybe some of the books that I made progress in. We'll see. So the book that I had finished actually earlier in the month, and then I had it somewhere else and forgot to show it to you guys, but now I really want to just bring it back to the library because I'm so sick of having so many library books checked out right now. This is Invisible Differences, a story of Asperger's adulting and living a life in full color by Mademoiselle Caroline and Julie Dashez, I think. Yeah, so it's a graphic novel. I'm not sure which one is the writer, which one's the artist. I knew it, but now I forgot. And it was only recently translated from, I think, the French. Yes, from the French. I have been trying to read more things that are translated, but that wasn't why I picked this one up. I was just interested in what this had to say. And yes, it uses an antiquated term, not terribly antiquated, with Asperger's, however you pronounce it, is not as commonly used, especially in the United States. I don't know elsewhere. It's kind of linked with a person who sort of, I don't know if it was his choice or not, but he sort of worked with the Nazis. And in other words, having a slightly higher functioning label would save some kids, and the other kids would not be safe. So that is controversial now, but in a lot of countries, it is a term that is used for autistic persons who appear high functioning, like they are able to maybe have a job and do things that, it's a very difficult thing to say without sounding, a little ableist, because it's like, who's to say, functioning, whatever that means, right? Anyway, so this book is about a girl, and I'm trying to remember what her name is. Marguerite, that's the name they used for the girl. It's based on, I think, the writer's story, but like maybe a little bit fictionalized. So she has a life, she has a job. She basically takes the same route to work every day. She orders the same thing at the same bakery every day. She loves animals. She's really into animals and vegetarianism and stuff like that. She has a boyfriend. And she has some difficulties at her job. There's certain things that she does her job very well, but in the social aspects, she has a lot of times that she has difficulty getting along with people in some ways. She'll say things that are unexpected or whatever, and where she's sitting is kind of nerve-wracking. It's like a little open space, not a lot of privacy, that sort of thing. And her boyfriend, they seem to have a good relationship, except he keeps wanting her to do these, like, things with his friends that she doesn't really care to do. So she'll occasionally go, but if he suddenly comes up with oh yeah, by the way, we're going to have an unexpected party in this place that we're going to, she kind of freaks out, and she has, I think it's either a friend or relative, I forgot who she visits, who, she's friends with, but just kind of, gives her sort of advice, that, about how to do things differently than the way she does them, stuff like that. And so she's going through her life with these situations, and as time goes on, and as she runs into more and more moments that just don't make sense to her, she comes across the whole term of, Asperger, autistic, etc. I think she goes to at least one doctor, her own, I don't know if it's a doctor or psychiatrist, whatever it is, and he's like, well, you can make eye contact, so I think you're fine. So basically, this book is teaching one that there are, again, invisible differences. Some things that are the cut and dry. This is how you define someone who's autistic, and sometimes you have to realize that not everyone fits into the exact mold. So she finally does. I don't want to get into the whole story, but when she does get, I guess, diagnosed, there is still difficulty because she'll tell people, the same people who are telling her, well, you need to change this, and why are you doing this way, whatever. So she explains it, and they're like, no, you can't be, and all this stuff. So it's the whole experience of being someone who both appears normal and yet isn't quite neurotypical. So I thought this was a pretty good story. Nothing, no experience is exactly everybody else's. So I thought it was pretty good if you're interested in learning a little bit about the experience, and just certain terms that are not as used as much anymore. That's actually mentioned here too. So that was pretty good. That was totally different than the rest of the things that I was reading in March. So we'll move on to, I was going to put my hat on, but I don't feel like getting it right now. So this will be a hatless mystery coverage. I finished 2 mysteries for March Mystery Madness, and besides the 3 others that I finished, so that makes it 5, and that's pretty good. And I didn't read every single one I had on my TBR, but I did okay. For I read enough for my own estimation. And this one is the one I really was looking forward to reading, so I'm really glad I did, which is Gaudy Night, by Dorothy L. Sayers. And this is not just a mystery novel, it's a classic. It's a modern classic. It's probably her, Dorothy Sayers' most famous and most well-liked of all her books. It is a Lord Peter Wimsey mystery, but it's not a murder mystery, actually. I thought it was going into it, but it's not a murder mystery. There's no body. And even though Lord Peter Wimsey is in the book, Harriet Vane is kind of the main point of view for most of the book. She is someone who appeared earlier in a couple of earlier books, which I actually haven't read. Earlier, she had been on trial for murder, wrongfully on trial for murder. And Peter Wimsey kind of helped her out, Lord Peter. And so they've gotten to know each other, but she gets along with him and really does like him, but she just feels like there's an unequal relationship there. So not sure if she, because he keeps asking, will you marry me? And she's like, So that's kind of where we're in. I don't want to get into any more details, about their relationship, I guess without spoiling it. But she had previously, gone to Oxford, and she studied at Oxford. And I love reading books that take place in universities, stuff like that. Especially Oxford. I have a special place in my heart for Oxford, and not that I would ever qualify to get in any way, but so she goes to a thing called a Gaudy Night, which is a Gaudy, whatever they call it, which is sort of like a reunion-ish thing. And she doesn't usually do that, and she was a little worried about how people would treat her, because she's got a little notoriety now. And she's also a mystery writer. Did I mention that? So maybe a stand-in for the author herself a little bit. That's okay. But also debatable, probably. And she comes across things and then kind of doesn't think much of it, just some notes she comes across, kind of poison pen, mean, nasty notes. But when she goes back home for a little while, she doesn't think anything of it, but then she gets called back by some at the university to investigate. There are acts of vandalism and these notes that are popping up. So she comes to help investigate that. It's actually a pretty big book for a mystery novel. Not to say that that's a bad thing. Some of the C.J. Sansom Shardlake books are quite big, and I love them. I think if they're really good books, the mystery can almost be second place, and the story itself and the characters itself and the dialogue itself could be amazing, and that works. That really works in Gaudy Night. There are so many great exchanges between people, different conversations. It's not all investigating. It's also different relationships, different types of people, and different situations at Oxford that I found fascinating. I didn't understand everything that was referred to because I've not actually studied at Oxford, but I know just enough to have followed the story and the conversations okay. I did get mildly overwhelmed because there are so many characters. Some of them have titles too, like the Dean, the Bursar, that kind of thing. And so sometimes it's like, okay, who are we talking about now? Who's this again? And what were they studying? What was it? Is this a student? Is this a professor? Who is this? So that was my only confusing part, but otherwise it was such a great story. So, such a great reading experience altogether. I can understand why this is so well liked. I would say a 5-star for me, which I don't give very often. And I don't even like the system of stars, but I also kind of do like it when I feel something deserves a 5-star. So yes, if you're on the fence about this one, you might like that, unless you really don't like, college, university, student type things. If you're into like the whole dark academia aesthetic, I guess kind of trend now, and haven't read this, well, it's time. So, okay. And the other mystery I read, also very much enjoyed, was There's a Murder Afoot by Vicky Delaney. It's an actual murder mystery. This is the what's it called? Not elementary. What is it called? The Sherlock Holmes bookshop, an emporium or something. I'm forgetting what the exact... Sherlock Holmes Bookshop Mystery, that's what it's called. Yay! I just had to look at the book. So I've been reading this series and talking about it on this channel for a while. It's about a character named Gemma Doyle, who is English, but she moved to West London, Cape Cod, I think? Cape Cod. And runs a bookshop, basically, with her Uncle Arthur, who never appears in the book. He's referred to, he texts and everything, but he's kind of like the invisible character. They're never in the same room. I don't like that, but it's just, that's one of the little things that they do, and I'll put up with it, but I don't like it. But yeah, so she's Gemma Doyle, his name is Arthur Doyle, and he insists that they're related to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And so they've had a, decent running this business, and obviously she's been solving murder. She's actually, Gemma Doyle is kind of like the stand-in for Sherlock Holmes. Except she'll get into relationships and stuff. And she has a best friend who also works next door at the tea shop called Jane Wilson, who's obviously the Watson stand-in. So she and Jane and her boyfriend, who is a policeman, and a friend who is like a rare book collector, seller kind of person, dealer. That's the word. Yay. And a friend who is a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, all go to London, actual London, around January, because it's around Sherlock Holmes' birthday, and there's some kind of convention, and so they're all going to go to this thing. And when that happens, she meets up with her parents, and her parents, lovely people. They live in Kensington. Oh my goodness. And her father is like retired policeman, and her mother is still an attorney, and they run into the mother's long lost brother, and there's some obvious issue between them, and he's got a weird past, and then later on he turns up dead, and Gemma's father is suspected. And so Gemma obviously does look into things. She decides to investigate things, not on her own though, because her older sister happens to encourage her to do so. Her older sister works somehow for the government, seems to have a lot of pull. She is definitely very much the Mycroft of the story. So, you know what? Even if I thought the mystery was pretty good. The investigating was pretty cool, but I think most of what I liked about it, of course, was the London stuff. The one thing that I found was missing, and this is just a me thing, and I don't think I missed it. I think it just wasn't there. But they go to a lot of like, London spots and a lot of famous spots for Sherlock Holmes fans, but I don't think they ever go to the Sherlock Holmes pub near Charing Cross, near Trafalgar Square area. They're in that area a couple times in the book, but yet they don't go to this pub. And I was kind of like, why not? They mention the Sherlock Holmes afternoon tea in the Taj, I think it's called, in Westminster. It's a hotel that I actually had the last time I was in London. One of the last things I did in London. It was wonderful. And they mentioned other references to things that I was like, oh, yay, just because I miss going to London so much. It's been a year since my trip was supposed to have happened. Who knows? And so I liked it. I thought it was a fun book in that respect. I wouldn't call it the perfect book, but it was a very enjoyable mystery. If you like mysteries in general, if you like London, if you like Sherlock Holmes, I think you'd like this book. There's also a dog in there, because there's got to be a dog in each of the stories. And the cat stayed home. Anyway, so that's all the mysteries. And now for the middle grade book. And it's been a couple weeks since I finished this, so I hope I remember what I'm talking about. This is Pages & Co., The Lost Fairy Tales by Anna James. It's the second book. Tilly is the main character. Tilly and her friend, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting everybody's names already, Oscar, do a thing called book wandering, which is they have this ability to go into books and explore in the book. She's also very close friends with Anne of Green Gables. Anne of Green Gables just comes out and visits her, so people can come out of the books too. And I made a funny noise there. I think it's because of this chip on this cup, which I'm very upset about. And her grandparents own this bookshop. It's pretty cool. But there's like this library, this under library, where all the people who can do book wandering and everything kind of report to in a way. They regulate things. And there's a whole uproar going on where someone gets like elected head, and it's not something that our main characters are happy about. He seems a little suspect. He's been missing for a while. Now he pops up and everybody loves him. And so there's these little issues. But meantime, Tilly goes with her friend Oscar to Paris for a few days before Christmas, and to visit his father, and which is great. But they run across people who know how to book wander there as well, and they come across a problem with fairy tales. Something is happening in fairy tales when you jump in. I say jump in because I'm thinking of Jasper Fforde again. It is similar in some ways. Actually, it's kind of like if you take the Thursday Next novels and then mix it with nursery crimes. Very, very much like a little of both. And all kinds of crazy things are happening in fairy tales, and which is kind of fun. It's not my favorite thing, fairy tales, but it was still kind of fun. And so Tilly kind of said that she wouldn't do any book wandering while she was away, but of course she does. I understand her looking into things. I understand her getting encouraged to do so, but I kind of didn't like the way she talked to her grandmother a little bit in this book. I understand that, kids are kids, but that I thought she could have done better, but that's okay. Otherwise, it was a fun story, fun Paris type memories. I haven't been to Paris in a very long time, and also London, so I like that too. I think if you like middle grade books at all, if you like fairy tales, if you like books about books, a little bit of fantasy, this is a fun book. I liked it almost as much as the first book. I'm going to look forward to the third book. It was a little bit of a cliffhanger. The way it ended, it didn't feel very satisfying. Like, I feel like there's a lot that needs to be pulled together. But I guess that's a series for you. So those are all, right? Yeah, those are the books I finished. So I'll just briefly mention the books that I still made progress but didn't finish. Well, this is I call it the fail, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to lift it up once. That's The Red Comet, The Short Life, big book, and Blazing Art of Sylvia Plath by Heather Clark. I am still quite early in the book. It is good. I don't know why I can't seem to take off in this book. I will keep trying. I'm still reading about, very much into reading about poets, so that should go right into April for me. I made good progress with my presidential read-along. And John Adams, I'm over halfway through, I think. This is a big theme. This is not on purpose. He is now in London. It would have been funny if I had reached the part in Sylvia Plath's life when she was in England and probably London, so that would have been hilarious. But I'm liking this. I really do like John Adams. Not like he's like the perfect person, but interesting to see how he interacts with Thomas Jefferson and his wife Abigail and the French and the Dutch and the English and the Americans and that time period, which I like. It's not quite the Regency. George III has just made an appearance, and his wife. But it's getting there. Jane Austen would be a little girl at this point. And I made progress, and I'm getting really close to the end-ish of Marion Mead's Eleanor of Aquitaine biography. And yeah, it's coming to a head. Thomas Becket's still alive, but not for long. Eleanor's had her last son, and she obviously had such a known distaste for him, which is no wonder King John was so unlikable. Poor guy. I mean, I know it sounds weird because he wasn't necessarily nice, but kind of sad. I like Eleanor, but I don't understand that very much. Oh well. But yeah, it's getting good. Henry II was brilliant, but he made some really bad choices after a while, and he let his emotions get in the way. So that was something else. So I'll keep you posted on Eleanor. So before I forget, I was actually going to use this mug. I totally forgot because it's been a long day. I had to go through all kinds of nonsense to get a certain appointment that is now open to my age range, but it's a little far off and it was very aggravating. So my brain is mush right now. I'm hoping I can get an earlier appointment, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm happy that I got anything. New York is a hard place to get things done, I'm telling you. Anyway, but so this is kind of a haul. It's a mug haul, speaking of mugs. I do that thing whenever I chip a mug, I'm like, I need a new one. Even if I can still use the old one. This is terrible. This is terrible. I'm very, very much of a shopaholic, apparently. But this, I thought, fit in with the whole mystery theme of this month. And this is an Edward Gorey mug from the Edward Gorey store. I gotta stop gesturing like this. It's called Agatha. Okay, I don't want to glare on there. And I don't know specifically. I was trying to look it up and I couldn't find out further information about it. But you see here a woman who looks like she's in the 1920s writing-ish. She's got a lot of books next to her, which makes her look kind of prolific. So I'm assuming this is about Agatha Christie, and I'm going to keep I Will Die in That Hill. This is Agatha Christie. So even though she's writing with like a quill pen, but it very much is in keeping with mystery novels. So I'll probably use this interchangeably with my Sherlock Holmes mugs for tea and mystery, because why not? And I really like it because I like Edward Gorey. Like I mentioned in earlier videos, he did the artwork for the cartoons of the opening sequence of Mystery Show. So that fits in too. And it's two-sided, so I can hold it up either way. I love that. And yeah, that is all for now. What is this on this mug now? What am I seeing here? This looks like a little... Is it writing? Anyway, I gotta stop. So, that's all for now. Let me know if you've had a good month yourself, if you've read any of these things. Little encouragement to keep going with some of these books. This is Catherine taking tea with Catherine. Have a lovely tea and book-filled day.